Hello everyone, and welcome to a new Q&A. For those that missed it, last Saturday I was on the Lore Walkers Roundtable podcast and we had a ton of fun. Hopefully by the time that this goes live, I'll be able to link it for those that missed it, still want to listen to it. Otherwise, I'll add it later. That's my update for this week, so let's begin with the Q&A. Hey Noble, what's the deal with the August Celestials? Are they the opposite of the Shah? Or were they given powers by the Titans, much like the Dragon Aspects did? Thanks so much for your videos, they reignited my love for the game. From Parphonius, Area 52. Parphonius, I wish I could give you the answer, but the origin of the August Celestials is unexplained. I would personally place them amongst the demigods of Azeroth, so not created by the Titans, not the opposite of the Shah, but demigods that just popped up out of existence and connected to Azeroth. I don't have much to support this theory, except that once upon a time Lei Shen, the Thunder King, he battled with the White Tiger. I'll link his story in the description, but in essence the White Tiger was not able to defeat Lei Shen. If both of them were created and empowered by the Titans, you imagine them that they would be equal in strength and that there just wouldn't be a winner. That's just my interpretation, and I would love for Blizzard to give more details about their origin. In fact, I would love to hear more about all the demigods, where they came from, what's their purpose, what's their origin, but yeah, hopefully Blizzard will add that story later. Hey Noble, here's a question for your next Q&A. I own the entire War of the Ancients trilogy, and I'm familiar with the event of Cataclysm. But I also noticed Deathwing popping up in other parts of the story between them. My question is, what has he been doing? And how come nobody has done anything about him? Deathwing is one hell of a badass, and I'm definitely going to make a video about him in the future. So for now, I'll answer your question with the short version. Deathwing was already hearing the whispers of the old gods when the Titans transformed the aspects from proto-drakes into dragons. The old gods, they want nothing more than to break out of their prisons, so during the War of the Ancients, they convinced Deathwing that the world was against him. He should be the one ruling them all, and to do this, he would have to create a powerful artifact, namely the Demon Soul. Deathwing tricked all the other aspects into giving up a portion of their power and placing it within the Demon Soul. He himself never gave up his powers, which made him the strongest aspect of all, and it first looked like he was going to rule the world. He murdered nearly all of the Blue Dragonflight, he did some serious damage to all the armies, the Night Elves, the demons, but in the end, the artifact was stolen from him and it used to power the portal to bring Sargeras into our worlds. The old gods knew that this was going to happen, they actually planned on it, and they wanted to use Sargeras to break out of their prison. So when Deathwing reappeared, when he tried to take back the Demon Soul, the old gods, they kicked his ass and told him to stay away.
I will not be denied!
The old gods protect the soul.
After the war was over, when Malfurion, Illidan, the entire army managed to stop Sargeras from entering our world, the dragon aspects, they transformed the Demon Soul so that no dragon would ever be able to wield its powers. They had Malfurion hide it away somewhere on Azeroth, where they thought that Deathwing would never find it, and that would be the end of it. Unfortunately for them, Deathwing isn't called the Earth Warder for nothing, so he was able to locate the disc, even though it took him around 10,000 years to do it. He could no longer use the disc himself, so instead he manipulated the orcs by showing them visions of the location. They found the disc, they used it to enslave Alexstrasza, and they forced her to create lots of children which they could use to fight the Alliance. Even with the aid of the Red Dragons, the Horde managed to lose the first war, but they came back a second time to collect magical artifacts. This time Deathwing decided that manipulating events wasn't enough, and he decided to ally himself with the orcs. His children would help out Terran Gornfiend and the others to collect their artifacts, and in exchange they would transport Black Dragon Eggs back to Draenor. Deathwing had the plan in mind of conquering Draenor itself, a new planet, but that blew up in his face when Khadgar kicked his butt, forced Deathwing to flee back to Azeroth, and he closed the dark portal behind him. His next scheme involved disguising himself as Lord Davil Prestor, marry Princess Kaelia Menethil, and infiltrate the Alliance to destroy it from within. The Red Dragon Corialstras, he was trying to figure out a way to rescue his beloved Alexstrasza, since she was still in the hands of the orcs, and together with Ysera, Nosdormu, Malygos, Ronin, Varisa, a whole bunch of other people, they managed to take the Demon Soul from the orcs, free Alexstrasza, destroy the disc, and restore the aspects to full power. With their power restored, with Alexstrasza freed again, the four of them kicked Deathwing's butt, and they thought they ended his reign. Again, he survived and he hid away in Deepholm to recover. From down below, he manipulated certain events, he had his family cause all kinds of trouble, but we wouldn't see Deathwing himself until the Cataclysm. At the end of the expansion, Thrall used the Demon Soul, which we got back with time travel. We went back to the War of the Ancients, we got the original Demon Soul, used it against Deathwing, and this time he is truly dead and the aspects fulfilled their destiny. As it turns out, even the short version is pretty long, and it's not surprising since Deathwing has played a huge part in the story. Like I said, I'll make a full video about him in the future. Hey Noble, I'm kinda new to WoW and I love roleplaying, but I have a problem with the organization of history. I know the events, but when did they happen? How long ago was it when Arthas became the Lich King, when Orcs invaded Azeroth, etc.? Is there any timeline where to find out? Thanks very much, bye! Blizzard has released a book called The World of Warcraft Ultimate Visual Guide, which contains a bunch of the lore and also a timeline. I can highly recommend this book for anyone who wants a global overview of the lore. It's not 100% accurate, but most of it is. And the best part, it contains a timeline. The thing with adding a timeline after already creating a story is that it's difficult to put all the pieces together. I always compare it to Nintendo adding a timeline to the Zelda franchise. It doesn't add up, but it is what we've got. The official timeline starts 10,000 years ago with the War of the Ancients, but there is lore even beyond that point. We're not sure when the Titans arrived on Azeroth, or when they left the planet, or when they transformed Proto-Drakes into dragons, but that all happens before the War of the Ancients. If we take a look at the official timeline, you can see the year 0 is when the Orcs invaded Azeroth for the first time, and it took them 5 years to take Stormwind. Somewhere between that time period Thrall's born, and around 13 to 18 years later, he becomes the new War Chief. I've been doing my best to find out exactly when he was born, but it's hard to pinpoint that exact moment, so I would say that he was around 15 when he became the War Chief. 2 years later Warcraft 3 begins, and it takes around 2 years for the entire story with the Burning Legion, with the Scourge, with Arthas becoming the Lich King, blowing up the World Tree. That all took 2 years. Year 25 is when classic World of Warcraft begins, and our current expansion, Mist of Pandaria, began 5 years later. So all the stories, all the bosses, all the expansions, they took place over the course of 5 years. That's a whole bunch of trouble in a very short time period, but yeah, all of that happened within 5 years. I'm not sure, but do you know who was the Draenei girl in Warcraft stories, where orcs saved baby Draenei and grew it until it got killed by Orc clan, which was corrupted by demon blood? I'd really like to know a lore of it, if it is possible. I had to do a little bit of Google searching and I found out that this story is called Family Values and it's part of the comic Warcraft Legends Volume 2. The story takes place 1 year before the Orcs invade Azeroth, so after all the events with Kil'jaeden, Gul'dan, Elements abandoning the Orcs, drinking demon blood and killing nearly all of the Draenei. The story begins with Jaruk Bloodfire, who is a member of the Shadow Moon clan. Jaruk used to be a shaman, but the elements they stopped answering the orcs when they started the war against the Draenei. When Gul offered them all the demon blood, he was one of the few who refused to drink, while his brother Jaruk happily accepted the gift. Now in this story, the orcs are hunting down the final camps of Draenei refugees. Jaruk is amongst them, and he's thinking to himself, how the hell did we end up here? Why did my once noble and relatively peaceful race start this war, start all this killing? And why, if I hate it so much, did I get so good at it? After bashing in the skull of a Draenei with a rock, he decided to move to a cave and think for a while, but inside, a family of Draenei are hiding. The father immediately attacks Jaruk, but he tells them that he doesn't want to hurt them. The mother and child already escaped, and he was about to let the man go, but his brother Jaruk's spear put an end to that plan. The rest of the orcs, they saw the tracks of the mother and daughter and they tracked them down. But before they reached the child, Jaruk attacked his own people, his own brother, and he took her away. The strangest thing happened while they were on the run of his brother. Jaruk and the Draenei child named Leena, they taught each other about life. He showed her how to trek, how to hunt, and he taught her about the ancient culture of the uncorrupted orcs. She in return filled a hole in his heart that he didn't even realize was there, and he grew to love her and adopted her as his own child. It took Jaruk 1 year, but he did find him again, and he instantly killed the wolf pup that Jaruk had given Leena. He was not there to just kill his brother and take his revenge. He was there to bring back his brother's strength. A vial full of the blood of Manoroth would make sure that Jaruk would see it his way, and he forced him to drink. Despite being corrupted by the blood, Jaruk managed to stay in control, and he attacked his brother while freeing Leena. A great battle followed, and Jaruk killed all of them, but his brother Jark, in his final moments, placed the sword between Jaruk's ribs. In tears, Leena picked up her father's weapon and pierced Jaruk's neck, ending him once and for all. It was too late to save Jaruk though, but in his final moments the elements granted him one last vision. He saw his daughter Leena as a beautiful shaman working side by side with Orc and Draenei, restoring balance to the elements. This is where the story ends in the comics, and I don't believe they've ever implemented them as NPCs within the game. I really enjoyed this story, especially since it shows that not all orcs were murdering assholes, and I would love to find out whatever happened to Leena. Hopefully Blizzard will implement this. I doubt it, but I can always hope. Hey Noble, what equipment do you use? And I want to start with YouTube. What tips could you give me? A lot of people want to start with YouTube and they ask me where to begin, what kind of videos to make, where to find information, all that good stuff. Now I'm not going to do all your homework, but I can give you a couple of tips. The tools that I use are Fraps for recording, Sony Vegas Pro 10 for editing, and Audacity for recording my voiceovers. Audacity is completely free. For the rest you have to pay, and to be fair, you can probably do the same editing as I do with Sony Vegas in a lighter program like Windows Movie Maker. The reason why I started working with Sony Vegas is because I could find a whole bunch of tutorials on YouTube, which was just a great help at getting started. I had no clues how to edit videos, and those tutorials were brilliant. They show you all the ropes, all the little tricks, and it will get you right on your way. I've got 3 tips to anyone who wants to begin with YouTube, and those who watched the Final Boss podcast, you probably already heard them, but I'm just going to repeat them. Number 1. Don't do it just for the YouTube fame or the YouTube money. Those are extra benefits that come after a year or two, if they even come at all. It takes a whole bunch of luck to be even noticed, and hopefully people like your stuff. But if they don't, and you only do it to get that attention, then you'll lose motivation and you'll never reach that point. In my opinion, if you want to work with YouTube, your motivation should be either that you love making videos or that you love the topic or subject that you're talking about. I'm extremely lucky that I like both aspects of the field, and this gives me the freedom to make the videos that I enjoy making. Apparently you guys and girls like to watch my stuff, which is absolutely fantastic, but the most important thing for me is that I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Imagine the moment that you reached the so-called YouTube fame and you only started doing this because you wanted to reach that point. What are you going to do next? Are you going to continue making videos even though you hate making videos? That's just gonna suck, and who would want that? Tip number 2, and this one comes from Total Biscuit. If you build it, they will come. That means that if you do your very best to create a good video, people will watch your stuff. Of course, who's to decide what is a good video and what's not a good video? Well, that's entirely up to the viewer. But if you check the end product and you know that you've done everything that you can to make it as good as possible, that's all that matters. Also try to have a regular upload schedule. That way people know what to expect and they'll hopefully stick around. Tip number 3 comes from Jesse Cox, which is advertise like shameless whores. You can make the best video ever produced for YouTube, but if you don't advertise it, people won't be able to find you. Do be careful that you don't over promote yourself. Like, for example, I know a guy on my server on World of Warcraft who spams trade chat daily, and every 5 minutes you'll see a message like, I've made this video, come watch it on YouTube, yada yada yada. That guy is on ignore right now because he annoyed the crap out of me. So advertise, but do it with moderation and do it in locations where you might find people attracted to your videos. Like for example, if you do Minecraft videos, don't go to the WoW forums and promote your video. Those people are not interested in Minecraft, and if you promote there, you'll most likely get a negative feedback. If you make WoW videos, don't go over to League of Legends, because you'll probably get the same response. Realize what's my target audience, where will people find my videos if they're looking for my subject, and advertise in those locations. Hey Noble, I have a question for you. As we all know, hopefully, Mantid once served Yasharaj, and in his last breath it created the Shah. So why is it a bad thing that their empress was being controlled by the Shah of Fear, if it is the creation of Yasharaj who they once served? The way that I understand the story is that you're absolutely right. The Mantid worshipped Yasharaj. Yasharaj was killed by the Titans, and his final breath infected the land of Pandaria and created the Shah. Now I don't believe that the Mantid, they recognized the Shah as their old god. They were just an aftermath of his power, of his final breath attack. On top of that, the Shah took control over the Mantid queen, and he forced the Mantid to invade Pandaria ahead of the regular schedule. They have a whole cycle where they attack Pandaria, the weak die, the strong survive to fight another another day, which eventually creates a much powerful army. In a situation where the queen would be corrupted or out of control, the Klexi they activate, they awaken the paragons, and they do anything necessary to preserve the swarm. In this case, that meant taking out the queen, taking out the Shah, since she was out of control and hurting the Mantid. Now when Garrosh found the heart of Y'Shaarj, the last remaining essence of the old god, he restored its powers with the waters from the Veil, and this called the Klexi back to their former master. This heart, this source of power, they did recognize as their old god, and since Garrosh was being infused by it, they served Garrosh. So that's the way that I gather it. They just didn't recognize the Shah as their true old god, they saw it as an aftermath of his powers. Maybe they didn't even recognize it at all, but they didn't see it as the old god that they worshipped. Hey Nobo, I really enjoy your videos and I was wondering, how can I support you? This is another one of those questions that I get asked frequently and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. You can support me by simply staying awesome. Like a video if you like it, dislike a video if you dislike it, leave a comment with your thoughts or just to say hello, share the video with your friends, family, guild members, WoW, whatever you want to do. Those things truly help, and I've seen people post my videos on Tumblr and Reddit, which is just mind-blowing. I'm not asking for donations, but I did have a fair amount of people who wanted to donate, so I'm thinking about opening up a Patreon page for those people who really want to throw their money at me. I might be able to use that money to do some good, like give it away to charities or do some giveaways, but that's pure future talk. For now, I'm just grateful that you even figure giving me money for the stuff that I do. I always end my videos with thanking you for watching, but seriously, every single one of you who watch the videos, who leave comments, who interacts, thank you. I'll never be able to thank you enough for allowing me to do what I enjoy doing, but I'm eternally grateful that you guys stick around, that you're enjoying the videos. I can't thank you enough, and that's pretty much all the support I need. Anything beyond that, that's just a bonus. Alrighty, enough touchy-feely stuff. Let's do the final question. Hey Noble, love your videos. Why did Garrosh and Cairne battle? And who poisoned Garrosh's weapon? Keep up the fantastic videos from England, smiley face. I don't believe they ever placed this story within the game, but it's described in the novel The Shattering Prelude to Cataclysm. The world was in turmoil before the Cataclysm, and Thrall had to leave the Horde to find out what was going on, save the world, protect his people. He appointed Garrosh to lead the Horde while he was gone, and Cairne didn't agree with his decision. He respected Garrosh for his tactics and his fighting skills, but he also knew that he was too reckless, he was stubborn, and he was too much like his father to lead the Horde without Thrall. Thrall didn't see any other choice, and he asked Cairne to stand with him on this, offer Garrosh wisdom as best as he could, but Cairne had only one wisdom to offer. Don't make Garrosh the war chief. Thrall had made his decision though, and he left Cairne behind to go to Outland to learn more about the shamanistic side and save the world. In the meantime, Hamur Runetotem, with permission of Thrall, had been working on getting some sort of peace between the Alliance and the Horde. Getting peace was not something that would happen overnight, and the first step was planned with a meeting between the Night Elves and the Tauren of the Cenarian Circle. They met in Ashenvale, and everything was going great, right? They were smoking their peace pipe, they were exchanging gifts. The first steps towards peace were made. Then what happened was that a group of orcs, they attacked the druids and they nearly killed all of them. Hamur Runetotem managed to survive the attack, he managed to crawl himself out of a mass grave, and he sent word to Cairne about the attack. Because the attack was done by orcs, they naturally thought that Garrosh had sent the order. He had spoken out against these peace treaties before, so all fingers pointed towards him. In truth though, the orcs were part of the Twilight's Hammer clan, and they wanted them to believe that Garrosh was behind it to weaken the Horde forces and bring about the destruction of the world. Cairne was outraged when he heard about the attack and he confronted Garrosh. Naturally, Garrosh had no clue what the bull was talking about, but he also wasn't just going to sit there and take these insults. Cairne went as far as to challenge Garrosh to Mak'gora, a duel of honor to claim the title of War Chief, to which Garrosh agreed, but only if they went by the ancient rules, a duel to the death. Garrosh was surprised when Cairne actually agreed to these terms, but he couldn't take back his words, so a duel to the death it was. It was tradition for the Mak'gora that a shaman would bless the weapon used in the fight, and Megatha Grimtotem had offered to bless Gorhal. Megatha hated Cairne and she wanted to rule the Torrent, so behind Garrosh's back she poisoned Gorhal. Cairne was kicking Garrosh's butt during the duel, but one single strike, the poison on his weapon, took him out of the fight. Garrosh was kinda surprised to see Cairne go down like that, not defending himself, but he was also determined, so he ended Cairne's life. After this, Megafa had the Grim Toner clan attack Thunder Bluff and seize control. Garrosh found out about her duplicity, that she had poisoned his weapon, and he was outraged. Using poison is dishonorable. People were whispering that Garrosh knew about it all along and that he tricked Cairne into his fight, and dishonor would haunt him as long as Megafa lived. Megafa actually expected him to back her up, but when she called for assistance, he did not send extra troops. Instead, he sent her his most sincere wishes for a slow and painful death. At the end of the story, Bane, Cairne's son, managed to retake Thunder Bluff, and he banished Megafa and any who stood at her side. If only Thrall had listened to Cairne. Hell, if he had just listened to Garrosh himself, since even Garrosh didn't see himself in the role of War Chief. But ah well, without that, we wouldn't have 2 extra expansions. Anyways, this is the end of my Q&A, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, leave a comment and maybe I'll use it in the next video. Subscribe if you like my videos, and until next time guys, see ya!